Dear students, welcome back to MNR's digital classes. This session is dedicated to deriving the Maxwell's equations. This is the continuation of my previous lecture on Maxwell's equation. That is the part 1 of Maxwell's equation. This is the second lecture. In the first session on Maxwell's equation, we learned the 4 equations of Maxwell. We understood the 4 equations and the fundamental basis of those 4 equations, and also we expressed those equations in integral form as well as in differential form. And further, we understood the physical significance of each equation. At the later part of that session, we have applied the Maxwell's equation for different media: free space, linear isotropic conducting medium, linear isotropic dielectric medium. In each case, we applied the conditions applicable for the respective media, and we have expressed the 4 Maxwell's equations. In this session, we are going to prove those 4 Maxwell's equations from the fundamental laws of electricity and magnetism. Derivation of first equation. The first equation is given by del dot D is equal to rho. That is, the divergence of electric displacement vector D bar is equal to volume charge density. This first equation arises due to Gauss law in electrostatics, which states that the net outward flux of electric displacement vector through the surface enclosing a volume V is equal to the net charge Q contained within that volume. Now, to prove the first equation from this Gauss law statement, let us consider a surface S bounding a volume V, a surface S bounding a volume V in a dielectric medium. We know that in a dielectric medium, the total charge is equal to the sum of free charge and polarization charge. If rho and rho p are the charge densities of free charge and the polarization charge at a point in a small volume element dV, then the Gauss law can be expressed as surface integral of E bar dot ds bar is equal to 1 over epsilon naught times volume integral of rho plus rho p into dV. But polarization charge density is equal to negative divergence of polarization vector. Therefore, this equation reduces to surface integral of E bar dot ds bar is equal to 1 over epsilon naught times volume integral of rho minus, in place of polarization charge density rho p, substitute divergence of p with negative sign into dV. This implies, just rearranging the terms, take this epsilon naught on the right side to left side, we get surface integral of epsilon naught E dot ds bar is equal to volume integral of rho dV minus volume integral of divergence of P into dV. Now, to simplify this further, LHS is in surface integral form and RHS is volume integral form. So, to make this uniform, we can use the Gauss divergence theorem, which converts surface integral into volume integral. Let us apply this Gauss divergence theorem to this equation. We get the surface volume integral of divergence of epsilon naught times E into dV is equal to volume integral of rho dV minus volume integral of divergence of P into dV. This gives us volume integral of divergence of epsilon naught E plus P into dV is equal to rho of volume integral of rho dV. Taking this term divergence of volume integral of divergence P dV to the left side and rearranging the terms, we get this equation 1. But we know that epsilon naught E plus P gives us D, that is the electric displacement vector. Therefore, the equation 1 becomes volume integral of divergence of D into dV is equal to volume integral of rho into dV. Or taking this to left side, volume integral of divergence of D minus rho into dV is equal to 0. Since the equation is true for all volumes, therefore the integrand in this equation must vanish. It implies divergence of D minus rho is equal to 0, or divergence D is equal to rho. Writing this in mathematical form, del dot D is equal to rho. This proves the first Maxwell's equation. Now we shall move on to the second equation due to Maxwell, that is del dot B is equal to 0. That is divergence of magnetic induction is equal to 0. This equation is due to Gauss law in magnetostatics, which states that the net outward flux of magnetic induction B through any closed surface is equal to 0. Here is a typing error. Instead of electrostatics, it should be magnetostatics. Now, since isolated magnetic poles and the magnetic currents due to them have no physical significance, the magnetic lines of force in general are either closed curves or go off infinity. Consequently, the number of magnetic lines of force entering any arbitrary closed surface is always 0. So the above statement clearly indicates that magnetic monopoles does not exist in nature. They have no physical significance, and hence no question of currents, magnetic currents due to those magnetic monopoles. In other words, conceptually we can say that the magnetic field lines are always closed loop, and hence we can write mathematically as surface integral of P bar ds bar, which represents the flux, that is equal to 0. And it implies using Gauss divergence theorem, converting surface integral into volume integral, B bar dot ds bar can be expressed as volume integral of divergence of B into dV is equal to 0. This equation is obtained by using Gauss divergence theorem applied to this surface integral. As the surface bounding the volume is arbitrary, the above equation holds only if the integrand vanishes. That is, divergence of B is equal to 0 or del dot B is equal to 0. That is in mathematical form. This proves the second equation of Maxwell. Next, the third equation, which is expressed as del cross E is equal to minus dava B by dava T. So the curl of electric field is equal to negative time rate of change of magnetic induction. This third equation of Maxwell is due to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, which states that the electromotive force EMF around a closed path is equal to the negative time rate of change of magnetic flux linked with the path. So we can write mathematically the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction as the induced EMF E is equal to negative time rate of change of magnetic flux, that is minus d phi by dt. But we know that the magnetic flux phi is given by surface integral of B bar dot ds bar. where S is any surface having the loop as boundary. So using this expression for flux in the above equation, we get E is equal to minus d by dt of surface integral of b bar dot ds bar. And this is equal to, taking this inside, we get negative surface integral of dava b by dava t into ds. Call this as equation 1. Now, this change is due to the fact that the surface is fixed in space and only the magnetic field changes with time. Since this S is fixed, we can convert the total derivative into partial derivative. But EMF E can also be computed by calculating the work done in a carrying a unit charge round the closed loop C. Thus, if E is the electric field intensity at a small element dl of the loop, then we have, we consider a small element dl of the loop which has an electric field represented by E, then the EMF induced E is equal to closed integral of E bar dot dl bar. Call this as equation 2. So comparing equations 1 and 2, we get closed integral of E bar dot dl bar is equal to minus surface integral of dava b by dava t into ds. Now, LHS is line integral, RHS is surface integral. So we know the conversion theorem, which converts the line integral into surface integral, is Stokes theorem. So let us apply Stokes theorem to equation 3 to convert this line integral on the LHS to surface integral. So the equation converts to surface integral of curl E dot ds, that is del cross E dot ds bar, is equal to RHS remains as it is, minus surface integral of dava b by dava t into ds. This implies surface integral of del cross E, with this negative sign it goes to left side, plus dava b by dava t into ds is equal to 0. Since the surface is arbitrary, the equation 4 holds good only if the integrand is vanishes. That is del cross E plus dava b by dava t is equal to 0, or rearranging the terms, del cross E is equal to minus dava b by dava t. That is, the curl of electric field intensity is equal to the negative time rate of change of magnetic induction associated with the loop. This proves the third Maxwell's equation. Now it comes the fourth equation. The fourth equation is del cross H is equal to J plus dava T by dava T, dava D by dava T. H is the magnetic field intensity, J is the current density, and D is electric displacement vector. This equation has two parts. The first part is due to Ampere and it holds good for steady currents, and second term is due to Maxwell's modification and it arises due to time varying fields. Now let us understand how to arrive at this equation. To start with, let us start with Ampere's circuit law, which states that the magnetomotive force MMF, here is again typing mistake, instead of EMF it should be MMF, magnetomotive force, around a closed path is equal to the conduction current enclosed by any surface bounded by that path. For Ampere's circuit law, we have line integral of H bar dot dl bar is equal to I, where I is the current. enclosed. If J is the current density at a point on the surface element ds, then I is equal to surface integral of J bar dot ds bar. From equation 1 and 2 we have line integral of h bar dot dl bar is equal to surface integral of J bar dot ds bar. Using Stokes theorem to convert the line integral into surface integral, we get surface integral of del cross h dot ds bar is equal to surface integral of J bar dot ds bar, that is equal to surface integral of del cross h minus j into ds is equal to 0. Just rearranging the terms, taking ds common, we get del cross h minus j into ds is equal to 0. As the surface is arbitrary, the integrand must vanish. It implies del cross h minus j is equal to 0, or del cross h is equal to j. Call this as equation 5. If we take the divergence of above equation, we get del dot del cross h is equal to del dot j, which is equal to 0. This is because the divergence of curl of any vector field must be equal to 0. Using the vector identity, this LHS is equal to 0 and hence del dot j must be equal to 0. But this equation is not inconsistent with equation of continuity. Equation of continuity, we know that del dot j is equal to minus dava rho by dava t. So this equation, when we combine with the equation of continuity, it implies that the time rate of change of charge density must be equal to 0. In other words, this equation is valid only if the above equation del cross h is equal to j is valid only when the charge density is static. It means it holds good only for the steady currents. Maxwell argued that Ampere's law is valid only for steady state conditions, that is when the currents are constant or steady, and is inconsistent with time varying fields. So Maxwell suggested that Ampere's law needed a modification. He started investigating mathematically the possibility of making the Ampere's law to be inconsistent with time varying fields. Around 1960, he conducted one simple experiment using parallel plate capacitor, where he found that in the place of discontinuity in between the plates of the capacitor, where there exists time varying fields, time varying currents called as displacement current exists. Introduce the term, with the help of that experiment, introduce the term displacement current, and he concluded that the definition of current density is incomplete. So another term, in addition to the conduction current term, another term should be present, that is called as displacement current density, is to be added to the current density so that it is solenoidal. So mathematically, the total current density Jt is equal to J, the first term is due to conduction charges or conduction current, plus Jd. This is called as displacement current density. It arises due to time varying fields. So the rewriting equation 5 to include Maxwell's modification, we get del cross H is equal to J plus Jd. J is the term conduction current which holds good for steady currents. So Maxwell's term, second term, includes the time varying fields in addition to static fields. Now take divergence both sides. Del dot del cross H is equal to divergence of J plus Jd, that is equal to that is equal to 0 because divergence of curl of a vector field is equal to 0. It implies taking divergence inside del dot j plus del dot JD is equal to 0, or del dot JD is equal to minus del dot J. Rearranging the terms, we get del dot JD is equal to del dot J. Using equation of continuity, we get del dot JD is equal to dava rho by dava T. That is because del dot J is equal to minus dava rho by dava T. Therefore, this equation reduces to, in place of del dot J, we can substitute minus of dava rho by dava T. So, the equation becomes del dot J D is equal to dava rho by dava T. Now, use Gauss theorem in differential form. That is the first Maxwell's equation. Del dot T is equal to rho. So, in place of rho, substitute del dot T. So, del dot JD is equal to dava rho by dava T into del dot D. Or taking this derivative inside, del dot dava rho D by dava T. So, comparing these two, LHS and RHS, we can write the current density JD is equal to, that is conduction displacement current density JD is equal to dava D by dava T. It means the displacement current is due to the time rate at which the electric displacement vector varies. So using this value of JD in equation 6, we can write del cross H is equal to J plus dava D by dava T. Call this as equation 8. This equation 8 gives the Ampere's law in modified form, and it is also called as Ampere-Maxwell's law, and it can be stated as follows. The magnetomotive force MMF, here there is a mistake, instead of EMF it is MMF, around a closed path is equal to the sum of conduction current and displacement current enclosed by any surface bounded by that path. So this proves the fourth Maxwell's equation. Now let us understand the physical significance of these four equations. The first equation is due to Gauss line electrostatics, and it signifies that the net outward flux of electric displacement vector D through any closed surface enclosing a volume V is equal to the net charge and contained within that volume. In other words, we can say that the static electric charges are the sources of electric field. This is significance of second equation. This is due to Gauss line magnetism, and it signifies that the net outward flux of magnetic induction B through any closed surface is equal to 0. In other words, isolated magnetic charges are monopoles, and the magnetic currents associated with them does not exist in nature. Significance of third law. Third equation is due to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, and it signifies that the electromotive force, that is EMF, around a closed path is equal to the negative rate of change of magnetic flux linked with the path. In other words, time varying magnetic field is a source of electric field, or it generates the EMF. Now let us understand the significance of fourth equation. This equation is due to modification of Ampere's law by Maxwell, and it signifies that the magnetomotive force MMF around a closed path is equal to the sum of conduction current and displacement current enclosed by any surface bounded by that path. In other words, we can understand that the time varying electric field is a source of magnetic field, and the net current in any closed path is the sum of conduction and displacement currents. Thank you for watching.